My name is Karen Grossett, and I'm an account sales representative here at Tyler. With us today, we also have Chuck Newberry, who's going to be providing us an overview of the Tyler Intergov solution. Tyler acquired the Intergov solution about a year and a half ago. This solution is based on a best of breed and is an industry-leading permitting solution. Tyler acquired the Intergov solution to provide our client base with permitting options. Our client base can now review and select between the Munis permits or Tyler Intergov solutions. As you'll see in this general overview, Tyler Intergov is GIS-centric and provides advanced mobility functionality. I am going to go ahead now and turn it over to Chuck.
Very good. Thanks, Karen. So as we move through this webinar today, we're really going to focus on what agencies are looking for when, as Karen was speaking about, a best-of-breed application or system for their permitting, planning, permitting, and licensing solutions. So we're going to let this graphic guide us along as we move through this presentation over the next 40 minutes or so. First and foremost, as we approach this, we're going to look at all of these spheres of influence that come into a complete enterprise package, or that influence a complete enterprise package. And as we look at that, you'll see that Intergov 9, the application we're going to look at today there in the center, we're going to focus on that application from a back office standpoint, tying in, obviously, your executives, and utilizing the Esri GIS system to give you a very GIS-centric application and model to apply to your planning, permitting, and licensing operations. In addition to that, we're going to key off on citizen engagement, utilizing e-portals, utilizing social media outlets, etc., to take this system and engage with your constituents and allow them to submit applications, review applications, be the nosy neighbor for the fence that's being built next to them, etc. And then we're also going to look at our IG Workforce, our mobile application in the field that allows you to do inspections and code enforcement operations utilizing a native iOS app in the field. And then last but not least, we're going to show you how all of this can tie your documents and records together and allow you to be a completely paperless organization as you move along through the system as well. So when we move forward here, we're going to focus first on the Intergov 9 application and the back office users with the GIS. So I'm going to move over to the application. Here, just so you guys know, I'm going to show you different views of the system and how the system operates. This view, or this persona that I'm logged in now, is a back office user utilizing the application to search for information, view data, or process applications. So with Intergov, we have taken a very dashboard view to all of your data. So gone are the days of having to search for modules, find the permit, then find the inspection, realize you opened the wrong one and had to hit back 5 times and start over on your search criteria. We want to present data in a dashboard view so you can grab that information and begin your operations and what you do based off of your login credentials. So I'm going to show you a couple different scenarios here. First one being, I have a plan map. This is what we call our widget dashboard. At the plan map, I bring GIS into the fold. You're going to see GIS throughout the entire presentation today. But right here, I can see all of the projects, if I'm a planner, that I'm associated to. I could hover over any of these and get details about that project. And if I want to open that project, I can quickly just link to it by hitting Open Plan Case. So that allows us to go directly to things we're assigned to and what we're working on at any given point in time. Same type scenario, but maybe we want to look at it from an inspector route standpoint. So I want to look, same concept, utilizing an Esri map here, utilizing Network Analyst as well to do the routing. I can see all of the inspections. I can see the inspection details. I can see the driving directions from point A to point B. But what I like about it most, everywhere you see that folder, like I showed you before, all you do is simply hit that folder. Once you click on it, it's going to open up the record that you've selected, and I can process all information with that record. I can see my checklist. I can upload documents, pictures, schedule, reschedule, change dates, etc. But what's really nice is when I finish, I close that record or that application, and it takes me right back to my dashboard. So I didn't have to go filter through information and data to find those specifics. Some other widgets are nice. I'll show you the My Inspections widget now. Maybe if I'm an executive or if I'm a department head and I do scheduling, I can see all of the inspections with a graph by inspector or by all my inspectors. But we also, within these widgets, take a smart grid approach, and we drop that smart grid inside the widget. It allows you to now customize and build your widget based off of the way you want to visualize the data. So if I want to aggregate or disaggregate my data in a specific way, I could come in, drag up, and say, let me see everything by inspection type, by inspection status, and right there I can see all my site inspections that are pending with a list of them. Again, all deep linking components from hitting the folder and linking to that application. Okay. And then last but not least, let's tie in your executives, or let's tie in a department head. So typically we have customers that say, hey, my application has been submitted, you've had it for 3 months, I haven't heard from you. They're upset, they're yelling, screaming, etc. So instead of having to go down the hall, get all your staff together to determine what's going on with the project, etc., here's a dashboard where I can come in, do a quick project search, render the data associated to that project, and I'm essentially taking the workflow that I'll show you in a few moments, and I'm summarizing that on one dashboard view. So right here, in a matter of seconds, I can start dissecting where we are while I'm on the phone with the customer. The customer says, hey, I submitted this, I haven't heard anything on the administrative application or who's reviewed it from Public Works, etc. So you can see here the plan completeness percentage, the project completeness percentage. We have 8 steps in the workflow. We've completed 2, so we're roughly 18% complete. I can also make this dynamic to where if we want to see what's the remaining steps, so as I'm engaging with the customer, I can say, yes, we still need to send the public notice, we're working on the application review, the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting hasn't been scheduled, etc. But I can also click over and see what steps have been completed. If the customer is yelling about the application review, I can select on that, and I can very easily see that there's 8 actions. We've completed 4, and I can see what the remaining actions are. The commercial design review, the growth management review, parking review, etc. I can also see within that action the reviews that have been completed, the reviews that are outstanding, and the corrections that have been made, all the unresolved corrections, recommendations, etc. A lot of information, data tied to one dashboard view in the system, 2 clicks, and I'm right there getting the information that I need. And just like I showed you before, if I want to link to that record here and see the details of this workflow, I simply click on the folder. It's going to open up that record, and then from there I can link to the workflow and get all of the detailed information associated to this land use review work class of a mixed use. So in the workflow, you'll see I can come here. This was the summarization you saw on the dashboard. Now I can come in, right click, and interact with these. On the land use completeness checklist, I can see what was checked off. These are all customized forms that you guys can build in the application, and it takes you from A to Z in a graphical format, everything that's being completed. This can be in linear format or it can be in concurrent format. It also manages the submittal cycle review process that we see in licensing, permitting, and planning applications. For instance, this commercial design review, we version control the workflow. I can see the second submittal. I can right click and render that information accordingly. Okay? So if I click on it, I see that the fire has been routed out. There's the review, the comments, everything associated with it. Or if I want to go back to version 2 and show those details, I can see that originally it was routed to multiple departments by quickly dragging up and linking to those there. I can see who's approved, who hasn't approved, where you're having the bottlenecks, right? If fire hasn't approved or customary public works hasn't completed their review, I can come in, send them an email, ask them what's going on to initiate that transaction. In addition to that, while the customer's on the phone, I've linked down to the details. If I wanted to jump over to the documents and I wanted to pull up a submittal timeline of when they actually submitted their drawings or their information, I could see that. I can see when we had it here and what departments was working on it. And then I can also see at the intervals in which the customer had it and when they were working on it. So gone are the days that they tell you we've been waiting for 6 months. You can drill in and give them granular level detail about how long you've had the application in-house working on it versus when they've had it working on it. And then when I'm finished, I simply close out of that application. It takes me right back to the home screen, and I can utilize more of my dashboards. Okay. Across the top, you have the ribbons within our system that are also dashboards. I can drop things into my favorites. I can link to GIS. We'll talk about in a few moments. I can see my calendar. It's completely integrated with Microsoft Outlook if you want to push and validate dates against your Outlook calendar. I can also tie in our enterprise contact management system. So the application allows you to take one contact and distribute that contact across all modules and suites of products within the Intergov system. So that way we can start breaking down these barriers and having everything tied together and linked together. So here at the contact level, I can see all the contact detailed information. If you're managing deposit accounts and they're billing against those accounts, we can see all their invoices, their payments, and all these are one click away from all that information. But if I really wanted to dive in, let's say this customer walked up to the desk and they wanted to make a payment on a specific permit, but they couldn't remember their permit number, their application number, or even their project name because they changed it 2 or 3 times over the past 3 months. You could simply come here to our attached records, and this is where we apply our enterprise data model that allows us to see visually everything that's happened across this contact. I can see all the plans, the permits, the code enforcement cases, the projects, the applications, etc. In addition to that, if I want to take and utilize the grid system that I showed you earlier, I could drag these up and say, show me all my plan types. There's my building plan checks. Maybe I want to see those by status. I could drag that up and link to that information quickly and easily. So if they're there to make a payment, is this the one you're paying here, the pending application for the building plans check, link on it, make all your payments, receive the cash, etc. We also allow you to integrate with state agencies. So if this contact needs to be certified or it needs to have a state license, we can build those certifications in, and we can utilize XML integrations to go call that data, pull those classifications down, and that can drive what type of applications they can submit, apply for, etc. Okay. You'll notice as I click on any of these additional items up here, it does tab the system. So if I wanted to open up multiple plan cases or multiple permits, I can review those quickly and easily. If you're utilizing Internet Explorer, I'm running this in browser, but with Internet Explorer, I can also split screen and have 2 instances open. So if I want to compare applications, it makes it simple and easy from that perspective. But keeping with the dashboard theme, we also have tasks built in the application, and the system can automate and define and distribute these tasks based off of business rules. So as I was showing you in the workflow a few moments ago, as I'm right-clicking and initiating transactions, each approval, denial, update, etc., can essentially drive a task that drops onto a dashboard for me to log into and say, hey, what do I need to work on today, next week, next month, etc. So in this case, I open up my task, I can see all that's incomplete, I can sort them by due date, etc. And if I want to perform a task, I simply click on the folder. This is a simple bond release. It's got a subject. It could have a body of information that people want to distribute to who assigned me the task or what record assigned me the task, the start date, end date, who it's assigned to, etc. And what's nice is I can link straight to the task target from here, perform my action, and complete that transaction. Therefore, centralizing my workday right here to one screen in the system and not having me filter through modules and suites of information and data to access the specifics of what I need to do on a day in, a day out basis. So the key here is making it simple for users when they log in, give them an intuitive interface that they can go and process transactions accordingly. So you may ask, well, how do I take and build maybe some customized dashboards? So within our application, we also have search screens. And these search screens not only allow you to search and filter data, but they also allow you to build a dashboard view of information. So as you'll see here, I can search essentially by any field in the database, even custom fields that are built on each application type. So if I wanted to come in and say, hey, show me all of my building residential permits of a certain type, maybe that expire between a certain date range, etc., I could fill that criteria in, simply hit search, and it's going to put all that data into a grid for me. Once it's in grid format, I can take now and aggregate or disaggregate this data based off the way I want to visualize it. Very similar to what I showed you a few moments ago. So if I want to see all these by address, I simply drag them up. Once I've done that, if I don't want to see that data, I can simply drop that back down into the grid, and maybe I want to see them by permit type. Drag that up, maybe by permit status, and then also by address. I could do that, and then once I'm finished, I've built all of my building residential that are active, and I can simply link to any of those at any point in time. You'll notice that it also dynamically builds the columns, so it's unlimited of the data that we want to visualize here from a Search Console perspective. Now, once I've provided or performed these searches, you might ask, well, how do I build a dashboard out of that? I'll come over here, and we could say here, Tyler dashboard, and then I can share that dashboard with other users that have my role. And now all you have to do is come to the magnifying glass and pull that up each time, and that'll be your customized dashboard going forward, all with the data distributed the way you wanted to visualize or utilize that information. Okay? I can also open up my grid and close my grid by clicking the icon here, and I have the ability to export to Excel, CSV, Word, any of this data. So now we've taken a search screen, provided you the ability to build a customized dashboard based off of all of the active permits that are assigned to you, and now I can export these out, and we could build additional ad hoc reports off of these. It's also all geocoded data, so if you're using ArcGIS Online for organizations, you can start building maps right in Excel with one click of the mouse. And then last but not least, if I want to take this information and map it, I could certainly hit the map results. It'll take all of that data, and it's going to drop it right into our GIS console. And from here, it allows me to see visually all of the information and data that's associated to that search or that dashboard that I was looking at a few moments ago. Now if we want to go one step further and say, let's maybe build in some thematic mapping components. So if I want to drop a heat map on this, I could drop the heat map, say where are the concentrations. If these were expired licenses, expired permits, I could see that concentration, and then I could drill into it and say, hey, if we're going to send an inspector out, maybe we want to send them to this specific location first, as opposed to over across town where they can't do as many updates or inspections in a given time. Okay. Once I'm finished, I can clear that heat map, and then I can also drill out and clear my map. Okay. You also have the ability at the GIS level to search for information. So I could come in here. We wanted to do a quick parcel search and drill right down to that individual record. From there, I can link out to our parcel manager. So like I showed you earlier, when we were at the contact, we did a contact search. From the contact search, the enterprise data model distributed all the information across the system for me, so I could see their plans, their permits, etc. If I link on the parcel manager, it opens up the parcel manager tab, and from there, on the attached records view, I can see the same thing. Now we're at the parcel address level. There's all my permits, code enforcement cases, inspections, licenses, professional licenses, businesses, etc. And if I wanted to come in and drag and drop these same way in every grid that you'll see, I can distribute those accordingly. And then if I want to link and drive down to that data, I can certainly link out and process information. Okay. Back over on the GIS, when we come here, we also have the ability to link out. So maybe if I wanted to go to Street View and drill right down off of Google Maps or Bing Maps right to the location, I could see information about the property. I could also zoom down the street if I'm in planning and I wanted to look over and see if there's a gas station on the corner or on the adjoining property quickly and easily. I've accessed that data and linked out accordingly. In addition to that, we also allow you to store your documents, any geocoded documents. I could find those related documents. Here we just have these sitting on an FTP site, or these could be onto a document management system, etc. From there, I would just quickly open up that document. I could view information, all the plan set data right there at my fingertips. So a lot of information I can grab with just a couple clicks of the mouse. So taking it one step further and not just plotting information and data on the map, we're going to clear this really quick here, and I'm going to drill out. So if I wanted to start permitting, obviously we can go grab the parcel and address search and initiate a transaction from a parcel and address. But the Intergov system is also a feature-based application. So we have the ability to initiate permits on any established feature in the system. So if I wanted to come in and do a permit on this lake up here in the northern corridor of this map, I could simply drill down, and you'll notice all my layers are exposed for me to work with any feature or feature class in the GIS system. So if I come over here and grab this hydropoly layer, and we'll set that as our selection criteria instead of the parcel or address like we did a few moments ago. Once I select that lake body, this could be a trail, this could be an Indian artifact, this could be stormwater drain, etc. You'll notice it populates that information in the grid over here on the left, and I can add that, and then with one click of the mouse, I can come over here, create a record, a permit, plan case, project, etc., right there from a map. So if I were to initiate a permit, you'll see what it does. It links right over to our permit screen I showed you a few moments ago. There I could select the permit types that drives the workflow, etc. But if you'll notice, there's no parcel or address association, but if I click on my GIS tab, I can quickly see that we've linked this record, this application, to that lake body that we were looking at 2 moments ago. Okay. From there, I'm just going to close this application. We're going to finish up on the GIS over here. So that's from an established feature. But many of you in your respective departments want to process transactions on features that don't exist in your GIS system. So I'll clear this map really quick, and we'll drill down to a specific area. And from this area, I'll want to create a new GIS feature and then obviously create a case against it. So in this case, we'll do maybe like a right-of-way permit. Here I would grab the right-of-way permit functions, and these are just editing tools that allow me to come in and establish the right-of-way permit or project that I want to initiate here. Okay? So in this case, I'm just opening up the GIS attribute data, and we'll just call this Tyler Project, and we'll give it a description of Tyler Project, and we'll also give it a creation date. Again, we could have determined whatever attribute information we wanted to apply here. Once we apply that, we've set up our new GIS component, and now if we want to go and create a record against that, it writes it back to its own layer there. That could be your right-of-way permitting layer. And just like I showed you 2 moments ago with the lake body, now we will do a permit on my newly created spatial polygon or my Tyler project. Now I have that in the grid. I simply hit add. One click of the mouse, I can create a permit against that new feature and associate it to parcels, addresses as well if we want to. You'll see there I would just select my permit type, work class combination, and on the GIS tab, we are now linked over to the newly created polygon project that we just established. So as you'll see at the GIS level, it's a bi-directional communication that allows you to really leverage the GIS system, utilize it in your processing of applications, searching for applications, and also establishing and running workflow at the application level. So just to show you that process, let's assume we're not using GIS this time. We're at the counter, and someone's going to come in, and they're going to actually start a new record. So in this case, I'm going to come in and say, hey, we're going to do a permit type, work class is residential single family. So I'm right there at the front counter. I filled in the information, and you will notice there's no district, there's no zone information. And if I click on the additional info tab, there's also no acreage, square feet calculation, and whether city water and sewer are within 20 and 30 feet of the property respectively. But to initiate that, all I have to do is validate this against the address that's in GIS. So if I come over here and type in 444 Meigs as the address, it's going to go out to GIS. It's going to say, hey, return this property information. There's the property information. And I'm going to run a geo rule. So we're not looking at GIS, but I'm going to go out to GIS. The geo rule is going to do the spatial queries. It's going to tell me about that city and water. It's going to map in the acres, which is an attribute data. So it's also going to map in my zoning automatically. So as a front counter staff, I don't have to go over or go to other systems to get this information for me. So this is where all of the embedded wizards in the system are going to pull in your parcel owner data from your GIS. You can set up your owner information quickly. We're giving notifications that there's a project that exists on this property. We're also running that spatial query and returning a notification that a septic permit may need to be injected in the workflow because it's not within they're not within 20 and 30 feet of the property. And you'll also notice that it mapped in the zones, it mapped in the district, and if I click on the additional info tab, it also provided me the parcel square feet, ran the algorithm to calculate the parcel square feet, I'm sorry, the parcel acreage in the square feet, and it also set that city water and sewer is active that it is within those geographical boundaries. If it hadn't been, if these were not active, then it could have automatically injected the septic permit right into the workflow of this record of this application. So that gives you a good overview of how GIS can be utilized from a view standpoint, searching, plotting information, data, etc., creating attributes, driving processes off of them, and also how GIS can be utilized at the record level when something's being processed from an automated fashion. Okay. So as we move along here, we're going to jump back over to our presentation. We've covered the Intergov system, the GIS, and a lot of the back office dashboard views of the application for your back office users and your executives. On this next part of the presentation, we're going to focus on the citizen connection and the citizen engagement to how you would process transactions. We have a couple of elements I want to cover here. First and foremost, within the workflow of the system, we have the ability to connect to social media outlets very simply and easily by one click of the mouse. Post to Facebook or post to Twitter. One of our customers, Marco Island here, they utilize this transaction right in their workflow. They post up when their permits are approved in the system. And you can log, you guys post this presentation, can log in and view this Marco Island Twitter page at any point in time. And you'll notice once a transaction is posted, I can click on the URLs and gain information about that permit that's being managed in the Intergov system, right? We can see where it's located, the inspections, the workflow, the details, as transparent as you want to be in that process. In addition to that, we can have URLs that link out to GIS so I can see the location of that project, that permit, etc., right there from quickly linking to that GIS tool from that Twitter page. Okay. In addition to that, we also have the ability to extend story maps utilizing ArcGIS Online. So if I wanted to see how my projects are being built out over time and compare those utilizing different aerial imagery and utilizing base map information, etc., I can see that right here, and I can change and update these quickly and easily, and it modifies it in this pane view. Or maybe if I want to see all of my submitted requests for code enforcement transactions, etc., I could place these on the map, link to them, and open up the application to that complaint, to that code enforcement case. These can be distributed internally, obviously, and externally. Or maybe I want to take my system and open it up to social media. Again, very much like the Twitter piece, but now we want to use like Flickr and YouTube or my accounts, etc. So remember, we're storing a lot of data here, so we can extend these out and allow users to post information and receive information. So if we were in an emergency management situation and we wanted to get pictures and updates of properties and things that are happening real time, here's all of the Intergov data, and I could come in and have my data or other folks' data shared with my map, and I could view information, zoom into it, where they could be taking pictures, etc., of these properties and rendering information. Here, just crowdsourcing, leveraging those elements within the system here. And then last but not least, our e-portals. These allow you to tie your customers to your processes. So they can submit applications, they can log in, and they can view all of the record and applications they're assigned to. Maybe if they want to pay a transaction, they could come here and link to their invoice number. It's going to open up once they log in. Sorry, I wasn't logged in. But I'll go ahead and log in to the e-portal. Once I'm logged in, it'll allow me to see my home page and quickly link over to that permit here in just 1 second. So once they log in, they can pay for permits, they can apply for permits, they could submit citizen requests if they wanted to say, hey, you know, there's a piece of road that's been torn up in the front of my house, or there's graffiti out on the stop sign. They could log in and utilize those transactions and process those accordingly. Okay. They also have the ability to take that same process and extend it out through what we call a wizard format. So instead of submitting the application or paying for the permit, here they can use an application wizard that basically takes them through a process from A to Z. So based off of their answer, if they come in and say, I want to submit a building permit application, once they hit next, it takes them to the building permit application processes, and you drive them to where you want the customer to go. Or maybe if they wanted to come in and submit a business license application, they could go that route, and it takes them through the business license route of questions and answers and scenarios, and it gives them a quick view of where they are and what they're doing at any given point in time. Now also with GIS, if I click right here, one of our customers, Grand Junction, Colorado, they've taken all of their data and tied it to their externally published maps. So here we worked with them and we extended out information for constituents to get data quickly and easily. So they could come in here, maybe they want to do a quick search and they want to go find, we'll do a business name search, and we'll go look for any Walmarts that are, or Walmart that's in Grand Junction. And there you'll see very quick I can log in and drill right down to that property. Now if I want additional details to that, like permit information, planning information, project information, I can click on that property and get that data, or I can link to other information. So here's where they've taken their GIS system and their Intergov system and they linked it over to the county, and they've got county records and data associated to that property. I can see tax information roll, tax authority detail information, land descriptions, etc., all the way down to building footprints and utilizing building permit information, history cards, etc. All that by simply being a GIS-centric application and linking that data accordingly. Okay, so switching back over to our PowerPoint, last but not least, I want to cover our mobile workforce platform. So I'm going to link over to our IG Inspect product. Let me just share this from my iPad. From here, you will see that I'm going to utilize our IG workforce. So your inspectors in the field can bring their inspections down. It works store and forward, and they simply just log into the application, and it's going to utilize, like you saw in the back office, the GIS maps, and it's going to distribute their inspections, and we can utilize routing components, mapping components, so that we can see those inspections, click on the map, drill in, location of each inspection, etc. We can sort those inspections by all my inspections. It color codes them blue, red, etc. I can search them by completed inspections, and I can also search it by pending inspections. We can sort these by parcel, address, time as well, and I can also manually adjust these inspections by simply dragging and dropping and placing them in the order that I want to process any of those inspections. Once I'm finished, I can hit done, and now I can start my inspection process. So I simply click on the inspection here. You'll notice it renders information and details about that inspection. I can simply hit review. I can tie in project information, inspection record information, parent record information, all of my contacts. You'll see in a few moments when we want to take this to a paperless transaction. These contacts will be in a list for me to select and send information to. Any previous historical references to re-inspections or previous inspections on that permit. I can apply any holds right there in the field by simply initiating a hold. I can also make changes, schedule this to another inspector, or maybe at the end of the day I didn't finish all my inspections on my list. I could reschedule this, and it automatically sends an email letting the homeowner, contractor, developer see that I'll be there tomorrow morning at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whenever we schedule it. I can see records and attachments while I'm in the field. So if I wanted to see the actual plan case, I could come in here and provide a quick look, and we could see all of that data right there at our fingertips. I could utilize a series of other apps within the ecosystem of the iOS platform if I wanted to do modifications, changes to that document, or comments, etc. I can also place notes at the inspection level here. Once I initiate a note, I can utilize the keyboard, I can split screen it, and I can also come in, test 1, 2, and utilize the speech to text recognition components built in on the iPad. Once I'm ready to begin the inspection, I hit begin up at the top right-hand corner. That provides me the complete inspection checklist, all with your codes associated to it, easy, simple buttons for pass and fail. I can also place attachments there. I can view those attachments, and I can also take photos. Here, if I would take a photo, I simply utilize that, snap my photo, and that transaction now is included right there. We do not store it locally. It caches the data, so you don't have to clean off your iPads as you're processing information. I can annotate and comment that photo, complete my inspection. There's my complete inspection status, start time with all my violations. Now, as I told you earlier, if we want to go completely paperless, I can sign that as the homeowner or the contractor, and then I can sign as the inspector, and then we can view a report that has that complete inspection report, inspection worksheet with my signatures. Now, if I want to go completely paperless, I can send an email out to anyone associated to this individual record, or I could also print that to a printer and process from there. Once I'm finished, I complete my transaction, and I'm done with that inspection. I move along. Okay, and we can also change the status. Takes me right back to my list. I click on all. Now you'll see it changed that one to red. We have two completed inspections that are red, and now I still have my remaining inspections to process for the day, a link to those, and I'm ready to go. Okay. From there, I'm going to close out of this transaction, and I'm going to jump back over to the back office application. And then the last thing I want to show you is the ability to take the entire system and utilize electronic plans review. So the system is integrated with Adobe and Bluebeam. Your planners, etc., they can link to these files right from within the workflow of the distributed review from a submittal cycle process, and they can utilize all the tools within these to come in and annotate, markup, change, and view all of those files. In addition to that, if I want to compare these files, you'll notice I have two versions here. If I wanted to come in and grab the compare feature, it allows me to overlay the pages, compare the documents. Once I grab the compare feature, I run it, and it's going to show me each one of those applications accordingly. Okay? Or if I wanted to come in and provide an overlay of the pages, and I wanted to assign different colors to those and see the differences from one submittal to the next submittal, there's my overlay. I can link in, view those. I can detach it if you're running multiple monitors. I could drop one on one monitor and have my reviews and the other information associated to this monitor. In addition to that, once I make my markups and my changes, all those are stored in the Intergov database, so the contractor developer can log in, they can view that information, and we can also force rules where they have to address or assign each individual corrective action before they can submit the next cycle of plans on this process. Okay? And then from there, we will go right back over to the slideshow here, and you'll see last but not least is the document records. Each individual record in the system gives you the ability to associate information and data. So if I go right back over to that plan review case on the Documents tab, I have all of my built-in reports. The system comes with about 275 reports, submittal timelines, etc. And then I also have my attachments where I can upload documents and data really easily. And if I want to view these, I just simply open up the view and link to those.